right, good morning, everyone. It's great to be here. I guess the last time I was up here was 2 months ago. I guess someone liked my sermon and I got invited back. All right, so yes, in case you don't know me, my name is Jinil Fleischman. I'm the president for our UNLV chapter of CARP. For one more week, I'm about to graduate. So if you come to Sunday next week on Sunday, you'll see my family, almost all my family. They're coming for my graduation. Yes. So yeah, I've been in Vegas for these last 4 years. I'm sure most of you have seen me and talked to me, got to know me. Going to school, doing CARP, and I think these past 4 years have really been some of the best years of my life and have given me a certain direction about where I'm moving forward in the future. And so I just feel this immense gratitude to be here, to be part of this Las Vegas community. So can we just give it up for everybody here? And I have a little bit of exciting news, but a little bittersweet. Yes, so I'm graduating. I had the opportunity to come back to UNLV as a grad student, and I rejected it. So actually, starting in the summer and next fall, I'm gonna have the opportunity to work with the national CARP staff based out of New York. So I'm not sure actually where I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be in Vegas a little while longer, but I don't know how much longer. So I just wanted to share that news with everybody in case you come one week and I'm just not here. So yes, please wish me all the best in my future. I need it. Thank you. So yeah, you might have saw on the weekly update, there was a little feature about our CARP campus talk that happened a few weeks ago. This is our CSN. Can we give it up for CSN CARP? So this was our CSN campus talk. It looks like a bunch of CARP members, right? Because everybody's wearing these same CARP shirts. But actually, probably more than half of the people wearing the shirts, they're from other clubs who really were inspired by the vision of CARP and campus talk and about striving for committed relationships and addressing the problems with casual sex. And I think at CSN, there's really this great force of mobilization, this really strong spirit of students working together. And even student government was 100% supporting this event. So it was really, really incredible. And then we had our UNLV campus talk. We had a really good turnout. I think the video said we had over 120 people in total. And it was a little different spirit than CSN. There were a lot of people who really supported the topic and the theme. At the same time, there was actually a group of people who specifically came because they wanted to battle us, or because they disagreed with us, and they wanted to let us know that they disagreed. And it was a quite different kind of spirit, UNLV versus CSN. But I think overall, I felt like we really put our foot down as CARP, that we stand for family, we stand for true love, even if it takes saying some things that people don't want to hear. And I think it was a really great victory for CARP and for our movement. It reminded me of those hearing stories of the old days, like the 70s and 80s, where CARP members were fighting fist to fist with communists and literally risking their lives. It wasn't nearly that intense, but I could begin to feel that pressure of direct opposition. So it was really exciting. So this is our group photo. We also had several supportive faculty in the very front. Even Dr. Kim, we didn't know he was coming, and then maybe an hour before we found out he was in Vegas and was going to attend. So we really felt it was an honor that Dr. Kim could come. And it really reminded me of last week's Sunday service that Reverend Du was talking about how much love there is that goes behind creating an environment, how true parents have invested, every moment of their life to create the environment for their own children and for God's children. And so in putting on this campus doc, I could really experience what Reverend Du was talking about, that it is a really deep form of love to create the environment for people to be nurtured. And that's what we were trying to do. So, so this Sunday, I was asked to talk about the theme, exploring a blessed family life, relationships, customs, and traditions. And I thought, okay, that's kind of interesting. First of all, I'm not blessed, and I don't have a family, so I don't think I'm an expert to talk about this theme. But this became a really great learning experience for me because I had to do a lot of research. Thank you. So I found this book in our carp house, and it was just like pages and pages of True Parents' words about blessing and family, and I realized, wow, I don't know anything. Thank you. So I found out I have to do more research. But for today, I just feel maybe I have something to share, some sort of insight based on my perspective, my upbringing as a part of this Unification Church community, as a second generation, seeing my brothers, seeing my community, my family. I hope you can gain something. If anything, I gained something, so that's enough, maybe. Okay. So, I was thinking, so what is it that makes a blessed family? Like what is it that's special about, the teachings, about the tradition, the customs, what we have in our Unification family community? Like what is it about being a blessed family? So I was reading Father's words, and I was trying to find what is it, and so I found this one phrase that I think we've all heard many times. Family is the school of love. Has anybody heard that before? Yep. So yes, I've heard it many times. Heard it growing up, and I was thinking about this phrase, and actually, this is something that I think the whole world agrees upon. It's not just our Unification church community, but it's really something that's basically universally accepted, that really it is the family that has the biggest influence on the upbringing and the cultivation of a person's character, personality, and who they become, even just their emotional well-being. And so, yes, I'm a college student. I'm learning, getting educated, and one of the theories that is widely accepted in psychology and in sociology is a theory. It's called attachment theory. Has anyone heard of that, attachment theory? Some people? Not a lot of people? Okay. So I get to be the professor. So attachment theory is a very simple idea. It's basically the idea that as a child, from age 0 to around 5, how we learn to attach to our parents, our parental figures, basically how we learn to be emotionally connected or not emotionally connected, that becomes the blueprint for how we build relationships throughout the rest of our life. So if we have what's called a secure attachment style, that means that as a child, even before we can remember from our infancy, if we can learn to trust that our parents are there and they can respond to our needs, then that becomes a foundation for a person to be very emotionally healthy and to build healthy relationships in the future, because they learn that foundation of trust. And it goes beyond intellect or reason. It's really the emotional core of what makes a person. And they did studies where they look at people when they're 1 to 5 years old and how they interact with their parents, and they can predict 20, 40 years down the line what kind of relationships those people will have, and also how happy, how satisfied they are, how emotionally well they are. And so I have some of Father's words about the family as a school of love. I think father and mother really understood this point, and they talked about it quite often. So it says, the family is composed of parents, a couple, and children, the abridged form of the world. The way for humankind to live is to expand love for the family into love for the world. So the true person is the one who considers everybody as his or her family. And that little ... I couldn't put the whole quote, it was really long. But the rest of that quote, Father's talking about how the people who are like our elders, 2 generations above us, we treat them the way that we treat our grandparents. So if we learn to build good relationships with our grandparents, we can respect our elders. The way we relate to our parents is how we relate to our parents' generation. The way we treat our elder brothers and sisters is how we treat any elders in our life. And so the blueprint of how we learn to love in the family becomes how we love all people in our life. So that's why it's truly so important to learn to build meaningful and trusting relationships with our family. And I think sometimes those are the relationships we really don't want to face or we don't want to confront because it's painful to admit that maybe they're not the best that they could be. And yeah, there's this little video I saw in my class. For me, it was very, very insightful. I hope it's as insightful for me as for others. So this is a experiment that was done at Harvard. There's a clinical psychologist, and he's studying basically how much the impact of those childhood emotional bonds that we make in infancy and how much they affect the formation of a human being. So it might be some parts is actually a little hard to watch. It's called the still face experiment. It's basically seeing the difference between a mother who's really reactive and responsive to their child versus when the mother has a completely still face and has no reaction to the child. So, yes, let's watch. Sorry, I didn't tell him I had a video. That's my fault.
This young are extremely responsive to the emotions and reactivity and the social interaction. babies.
Okay. I hope that was as insightful for you as it was for me. And what I thought of when I watched this video is, the experiment is literally just 2 minutes where the mother basically stopped loving the child, where the child stopped receiving that love and that response from the mother. And of course, we're not, I don't know, all of us, none of us are that 1-year-old baby right now. But every one of us, deep down in our core, we are still that child. If you think, biologically, we still have all the components of our brain and our self as that child. And spiritually, we are still the same person. So, many times we might feel like that child, when we don't receive the love that we want, we're just like, crying out like that little baby. At the same time, it really speaks to the importance of, scientifically, psychologically, how important, this truth is, that the family is the school of love. How important it is that we nurture our children, we nurture, our loved ones with that sort of unconditional love, that parental love that that mother was demonstrating. And yeah, for me, it was really exciting, these past 4 years in college. I could make a lot of connections between what I was learning in school, in my academics, and also to what I was learning in CARP through studying the divine principle. And I could really see kind of like the scientific foundations of what the principle is saying. I don't know if anyone else makes that connection between the loss of parental love and how much it affects the child, and what the principle is saying, that the fall of man was that disconnect from God's true parental love. So that kind of brings me to my next point. Okay, so number 2. So this is the second point that I was able to understand from reading, father and mother's words about the family, about the blessing. This is something that I think is very clear. I think one thing that the divine principle really clarifies for all the world is, what is God's ideal? What did God want to have when he created human beings? And, taking that one step further is basically, why are we alive? Why are we created? And, the principle makes it very clear that, when God created Adam and Eve, his hope was for them, as a man and as a woman, to come to maturity, to come to a state of being where God is dwelling within them, where every action that they perform, every word that they speak, even every thought that they experience within is a reflection of God's unconditional love. And, when those two come together as a couple and have children, have a family, that this would be, the beginning of God's family on this earth. Not just in the spirit world, but here on this physical earth as well. And, if we've been to some, learned the divine principle, what we learn is that, the fall of man, it was not merely just a matter of disobedience. It wasn't just that Adam and Eve betrayed God's word, but it was that the betrayal was the misuse of love. And it was the loss of their parental love. It was that because of Adam and Eve's actions, they couldn't trust that God loved them anymore. And that because of that beginning point, human beings were kind of like that infant, and we feel like, that mother, we feel like our God can't respond to us, and we're just trying to figure out our life, when we're crying, and we're, some of us just get cynical and don't even bother looking for love anymore. We're looking for that true love. Some of us, we still cry out. And we're looking for that connecting point. We're looking for that person or that couple that can be that mediator of God's love in our life. And so we know, Adam, because we lost that true man, that true woman, then we know that Jesus came as the second Adam. as God's chance to to give rebirth, to allow us to have a second chance to develop, to become who we're meant to be. And I found Father's words about the Messiah very insightful. He said, "When we become one with God's love, we will be able to practice God's love. The unification of the world then will be realized. And the Messiah is the person who brings God's love, which can unify the world, the nation, family, and individual." And we know that that's the person that Jesus was. And we know that he did come, he said himself, "I am in the Father and the Father is in me." And he was that person. He is that person that is bringing God's love to this earth. And we know that, through the unity of Jesus and the Holy Spirit, that he has been continuing to give rebirth, spiritually for the past 2,000 years. He's continuing to give new life, continuing to, when we're that child, seeking for love, and if we're really desperate, we can find him. We can find the love of Christ and the love of God in that relationship. But at the same time, still for 2,000 years, we still haven't had the concept of blessed families, right? It's something new in the last 50, 60 years, blessed families. So I think it's really amazing. This is who, Father and Mother Moon, they're really continuing the ministry and the love that Jesus came to establish, that ideal of true family. And to bring God's family not just in the spiritual world, not just giving spiritual rebirth as Jesus and the Holy Spirit are giving, but also continuing that mission to establish God's ideal on this earth physically. And I think it's really a blessing to come to know that love. And so that's really the blessing ministry, right? The title is Putting the Blessed in Blessed Families. The blessing ministry really comes from the works of Father and Mother Moon. And so again, I'm the number one student here of my sermon. So I was thinking, okay, so what is it that, how is it that Father and Mother Moon are able to give this blessing of the blessing? Why is it that they can establish this ministry that is bringing together men and women to create what we call blessed families? And I'll be honest, I'm still trying to understand. I'm still seeking to really understand in my heart, because there's so much depth to the works of Father and Mother Moon. But one thing is very clear to me is that the blessing is not something that we earn or we achieve, but the blessing is really something that it really comes on the foundation of our true parents' love, of that true parental love, that Father and Mother Moon are living. And I think Angie mentioned in her prayer that we can really feel the deep love of our mother right now. And I don't know, for those of you who are watching the video, seeing everything that happened in Vienna. And so I myself, I haven't, I think I've spent one experience to be in the physical presence of True Father. It was here at the main house in 2012. It was just for a hundoke. It was morning, we gathered, and I didn't get to talk to him or anything like that, but I was at least in the same room. So for me to really understand the foundation of Father and Mother Moon's life, it's for me, I learn about it through stories that I've heard, experiences that others have passed on to me about the quality of our true parents' heart. And so I want to share a couple stories that I've heard recently that to me really speak to the love of our true parents. So the first is I believe it's mentioned in the autobiography that when Father was in his 20s or 30s, he didn't feel like he had any enemies, but there were people who were kind of put themselves as enemies of him. And what Father did is he saved up all his money and he gave away his possessions in order to give that money to those people who considered him their enemy. And another story that I heard just recently at the workshop in January, the Japanese Divine Principle workshop, is this incredible story where, about in 2000, I think it was 2004, about 70 years after this event had happened, there was a group of people and they went to interview this very old Japanese man. I don't remember his name, but so this Japanese man, he was a Japanese soldier during World War II when Japan was occupying Korea. And he was a prison guard, and he was actually one of the people who tortured Father Moon when Father Moon was in prison. And so that was, in 1944, I believe, or early 45, when Japan was still occupying Korea. And what happened within, just a year or several months, if you know history, Japan surrendered and, they lost control of their colony of Korea. And so at that time, there was this huge, I don't know what we should call it, but like all the Koreans, all their built-up resentment and hatred towards the Japanese, any Japanese soldiers, they wanted to kill those people. And what Father Moon did is he protected this man who had tortured him, and he kept him safe, and he persuaded the people who wanted to kill this man not to kill him. And 70 years later, this old Japanese man, he still remembered that experience, and he still had this deep gratitude for Father Moon, for the love that he demonstrated in that moment. And yeah, for me, I can still feel that same heart when I see our True Mother. Like when we see the video. It's maybe not everyone was here in the morning, but it showed about some of the events of the Peace Starts With Me rally that happened in Austria last weekend. And it showed that the minute that our True Mother came off the airport, she was walking and greeting everyone, and right away she went straight to gather for a leaders meeting. And she was meeting with these people and hearing them talk and giving them guidance, and not even a moment's rest. And she's always pouring out that love. And I got to experience it just like this tiny little moment when True Mother came to Las Vegas about almost maybe a month and a half ago. And our CARP members, we had the opportunity to greet True Mother when she came in straight off the airport and when she went to her room in IPEC. And so we're all standing outside, all dressed up, and we didn't know what was going to happen. And then the car pulls in, and we see True Mother come out. And then someone came and offered her flowers, and she looked really exhausted. She just come from an international flight, and it looked like she was going to go to her room, and then she stopped, and she had the flowers, and then she looked at all the CART members, these young people, kind of clueless, but kind of happy and smiling, just standing there, and she said, "Oh, CARP should have these. CARP should have these flowers." And then she's like kind of walking over, and then we didn't know what was going to happen, and she looked like she was going to pass the flowers. And then no one responded. No one went there to get them. So she just threw the flowers, and someone caught them. But what I could feel is that it was kind of like seeing a person in their off moment. Kind of like seeing someone not when they're on stage, when they've prepared, when they know that people are going to be watching them, but seeing someone like in the moment when their guard's down, when you really see who they are. And to me, that's what that moment really showed me is that our True Mother, even in every moment, she has that heart of loving God's sons and daughters, loving her children, and doing what she can to express that love. And it really touched me. It was like literally like a 2 or 3 minute little episode, but it's really stuck with me. So. Yes, I'm coming near the conclusion. So, yes, like I said, I'm still learning. I barely skimmed through this book that I discovered, and I have about a couple of more years to really know what what the blessing really means. Probably more than a couple of years, but anyways. But I wanted to just share a couple of points that kind of stand out to me about kind of how, like, as as individuals, what does it mean to live life as a blessed family? What does it actually look like in practice? So, yes, the first point is to understand what we have been given. And yes, I'm still trying to understand. There's so much to understand, so much to know. But many times we take for granted the things in our life that matter the most. We spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days in the year with our family, with maybe our husband or our wife or our children, our loved ones. It's very easy to take for granted, the people who matter the most. At the same time, it's very easy to take for granted, the blessings that God is giving. And maybe for some of us who have, been following our true parents for many years, maybe we take for granted, what it is that they are giving to us, the love that we have, even just having guidance in our life to follow. So to me, the first step of living a blessed life is we have to understand the blessings in our life, and we have to appreciate the blessings in our life. And the second point is creating true relationships. So this is something that I think we had the blessing, you might have saw in the campus talk, but we had someone named Andrew Love who came. Anyone know Andrew Love? Yeah. So his name is Mr. Love. He talks about love. He helps to run something called High Noon, which maybe some of us know. It's a nonprofit their mission is to create radiant couples, and they do a lot of coaching for young men and women who want to overcome the habit of pornography and masturbation. And so he's really always talking about living an authentic life, living a life of true love, and what does it take? And so he always talks about living a life of high noon. Like your father used to say, living a life that casts no shadows. Living a life where there's nothing in your heart that you're afraid to show another person. Feelings or thoughts. And I think having Andrew Love here in Vegas and getting to talk with him and work with him, it's really shown me what it is that it means to create true relationships. And it's really about having a relationship where there's nothing that we're afraid to say. There's nothing we're afraid of the other person to know about us. Thoughts that we have, or feelings that we have, or judgments that we make, comments that we want to say but we hold it back. And to really live a blessed life, to me, is to live a life where we don't feel like there's anything we're hiding from our loved ones, where we can be completely transparent about who we are and what has made us who we are. So that's something I've experienced myself in my relationships with my loved ones, and I would really encourage for everyone here to try it out. Try that moment when there's something in your heart that you're hiding, or something you want to say, but you're kind of scared about what they're going to think about it, or what they're going to think about you. But I really encourage you to just, in those moments, take that leap of faith, and try to have that trust, try to have that honesty. And I think in the long run, it's really going to lead to meaningful relationships that we're really proud of, that we really feel peace in. And so my last point is be a blessing to others. And so this is when I was given this topic, exploring, I don't remember the exact phrase, but anyways, learning about a blessed family life, the customs, the traditions, the relationships. To me, it really all came down to this point about being a blessing to others. That's something that I think we really, as a community, as a faith community, that we really get that, our family is not for the sake of our family. Our marriage is not for the sake of each other, it's for the sake of our children. Our family is for the sake of our tribe, for our community. Our community is for the sake of the society and for the nation, for the world. And I actually feel really proud of our Las Vegas family church. Like last week, I don't know, we had the award ceremony, and it just never stops. It's just going and going. All right, next person. Okay, group picture, 25 people. Okay, next group picture, another 25. It's just so many people that we were honoring and really appreciating for what they've done. And to me, it shows that we as a community, we are living this life of being a blessing to others. We are living for something greater than just ourselves. We're not just bystanders, okay, I hope this Sunday service is going to be good. I don't know if I want to come next week. But, we come, we're active, we're contributing, we're making a difference. And I think that's a really powerful culture. And I feel like it's something we can continue to do. I know Reverend Du, he promised at the beginning of this year Starbucks gift cards for any of our community members that spend time with each other, right? And I think to live a blessed life, to be a blessing to others, I think it's having those moments where we can reach out to each other and be there with each other, really be present. Yes, so this is Father's words on the blessing. When you receive the blessing, think that you are receiving it for the world rather than yourself. Those who receive the blessing with this thinking will remain in history, but those who do not will just pass from history. And reading these words, I don't think many people get married with that mindset. Let's get married for the world. No. It's more like, hey, I like you, you like me. Okay, let's get married. But we have such a beautiful tradition of what marriage is all about, and it's about becoming God's representatives on this world, on this earth. And that's really the teaching of our true parents, is about being tribal messiahs. As a couple, being really like a messiah, being like that quote we read earlier, being the one who brings God's love to the world and to our family and to our tribe. I think it's really beautiful that we have that tradition. And maybe sometimes we feel like it's a responsibility, like, oh, tribal messiah, oh no, I have to do so much. But at the end of my life, I think I'll be happy if I tried. I'd be happy if those moments when I was like really, I just want to stay home, I don't want to do anything, but I kick myself in the butt, or somebody kicked me in the butt, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go share some love with somebody. I'm gonna go reach out to someone that I care about. A Jew. Yes. And yeah, so a thought that has come to me is, the kingdom of heaven is not a place that we go to. It's not somewhere that we go after we pass away, or Chanoguk. It's not like once we restore a nation, or once something changes, then that'll be the kingdom of heaven. It's not a place that we'll get to in the future, but I really believe it's a place that we create each and every day. And it's how we interact with each other that builds the kingdom. It's how we love each other that builds the kingdom. And it's how we distance ourselves that prevents the kingdom from being established. So to me, I really feel like the kingdom of heaven, it's a lifestyle. It's not a place, but it really is, it's a lifestyle to me. Yes, so there's one more quote. I guess it kind of says the same thing, but it's very simple and gets to the point. So why do we get the blessing? In order to give the blessing to others in the world. It's a very beautiful message. Very simple, right? And, okay, I wasn't sure if I was going to share this, but I better share it. I don't know how long I'm going to, okay, anyways. So I have the great joy of sharing that actually I'm going to join the ranks of those who can receive the blessing to give the blessing to others. Yes. Yes. So, anyways, yes. So there's this amazing person that God has been raising up and that lives in Japan that nobody here knows, I don't think. But and yes, so that is the details. Yes, so this was a very meaningful sermon for me, and that's why. But at the same time, yeah, this is really, I really feel like this is, creating the kingdom of heaven, it is a lifestyle, and it's, the blessing is not something you receive one time and like, okay, that's it, you got blessed. But, it's a blessing that you continue to grow and nurture, and you live it each and every day. And that's what I see a lot in our families here in Las Vegas, is so many, blessed couples who really, like, they show that they're blessed because they're giving that blessing to others. They're exuding that love and that brightness and that joy. So that's my dream, that's my hope, to be like that too. Yes, so that's it. Please join me in prayer.